Really, bro? After I do all this, we get our first loss. Hello, boys and girls of the Joner Fat Cat channel. Welcome in. Coventry get their first loss of the season. First time that we've experienced a loss since last year in the playoffs. We don't even want to mention that. I'm not counting the Millwall loss because I was on vacation. But anyways, let's talk about what went wrong in this game. Let's talk about the lineup. Let's talk about all that. If you're confused on what the hell's going on, Halloween stream. I'm going to put the highlights together and make a big video about it. Setup looks pretty nice. Of course, when I go and I do all this, we get the first loss. So it's a bit of a somber mood in here now. Looking like a full kit. You know what? Let's talk about it. I think the first thing we're going to touch on is the lineup. I think the lineup was definitely something that people were taken by surprise with today. I know I was at least. I went in with an open mind as I always do because, Frank has been tactically near perfect this season. So let's take a look real quick. So we can take a peek right here. So let's go with the people that we expected in there. So the attack all looks the same. BTA, Sox, EMC, Haji Wright. People are having shouts for Sims, but I think it's Haji Wright's job to lose. And yes, he's been poor and he wasn't the best today, but I think there were a couple other factors that go into that. This is crazy, by the way. I've never had this much hair before. Midfield was Grimes and Allen again. We'll get into that. Jamie Allen and just the midfield in general were outmatched today, in my opinion. And the back line changed a lot. So we know KKH was in because of Milan's 5 yellow cards. Then Kitching, the mainstay. Rushy, the mainstay. Bidwell was a very shocking change for Jay Da Silva. I'd heard Jay Da Silva was injured. Not injured, excuse me, ill. I don't know if that's true. I don't like to listen to rumors until I actually hear them from the team. But he was in the TikTok video making wolf sounds, so that probably doesn't equate to anything. And then last but not least, Wolfie was in there for Bobby Thomas. He had been nursing an injury, so he was not in the match day squad. We see Torp get on the bench. This game just fell off from the start. I gotta be honest, just going in with that lineup, my thought was that Frank was gonna play a 5-back, and I think he was going to go in with that 5-back, so Wolfie in between Kitching and Bobby Thomas. But that Bobby Thomas injury kind of threw a monkey wrench in. So maybe that's why he went for Bidwell instead of Da Silva, because he wanted to have a more defensive approach. But I seem to think, obviously hindsight is 2020, but I think that backfired on us today because something that we rely on so heavily, I have the stat, I proved it, like I know it's 100% real. Milan and Jay Da Silva have the most touches in the attacking third of our opposition this season. So that was something that we really, really missed today, was the overlap of the fullbacks. And it just didn't allow us to get out of our own half. I just felt like we were stuck back there, whether it was a counter, whether it was them holding possession or, whipping balls in. We had a tough time getting out of our box today. And we've proven to be really good in transition. But we weren't able to get those opportunities today because we didn't have the likes of Milan, Jay Da Silva making overlapping runs, Milan and Sox linking up. However, Sox was the best player on the pitch today, in my opinion. He has had 2 really good games in a row, so that's one of the positives to take away from this for sure. Obviously, you've got Sox as your mainstay, Grimes as your mainstay. Kitching was okay today. I think it was just genuinely an uphill battle from the start. Narrative-wise, Wrexham were up for this game after their disappointing midweek loss. They've been in good form, 1 loss in 8 games. And, just the whole Hollywood thing, like wanting to beat and take down a team that's at the top of the table. Like, you have a target on your back. Every team is going to play their absolute best against you. And we saw that today. I think they probably played near, not perfect, but near the best that they could have done. And, they got the result from it. We have been overperforming this season, the last couple games specifically, with the amount of injuries that the squad has. I think eventually that has to catch up to you. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, I'm like super, super frustrated about the loss. What I am frustrated about is as soon as they went down, my entire TikTok and YouTube chats just came an influx of Oppo fans saying, like, how do you lose to Wrexham? This, that, like, you guys are going down. So that rattled me, but it's not hard to rattle me, especially when I'm in a freaking Brian Kilcline costume and we're losing. So that also sucks. So got the piss taken out of me, but hey, you win some, you lose some. It's okay. Back to the game. This is a post-match review. I want to talk about Wolfie and Allen. They're probably my two players that looked a little bit overmatched for me today. Neither of them play a lot of football. Jamie Allen's been playing football more recently, but Jamie Allen is a role player. If Victor Torp is healthy, he goes in there. Eccles and Torp both ended up coming on this game, so I do question if either of them could have maybe played extended minutes, would they have been in there? Eccles is, his legs are all messed up from that extra bone and whatnot, but who knows if the outcome would have been different. But I just felt like he was a bit outmatched there. And, the physicality and I guess the breaking of the midfield ability of Wrexham with their clinical passing and long passing was just able to get past them because you have Grimes trying to do the job of multiple people because BTA isn't going to offer you much on the defensive side. That's not a knock to him. It's just that, he's a forward by trade, but he's thrived in that number 10 role because we've just been on the front foot of so many games. So Grimes had a lot of work to do, and that's what led to, them being in on the counter so many times. And then that work was then transitioned and shifted over to Kitching and Wolfie. By the way, Kitching and Kiefer Moore had a WWE wrestling match. Of course, that had me fired up, and then all of a sudden, that literally just activated Kiefer Moore. His stupid slicked back hair. He's so documentary. Him and Windass are so documentary. They're pretty boys. It's so annoying. But they showed up to play today. They're two very good players. Their attack is good. Their wingbacks, they honestly kind of played like us today. I feel like their wingbacks were making overlapping runs. They were overloading on one side or the other. They were whipping balls in. Just didn't really feel like we could ever get it going. That first goal was a shock to I think me and the entire chat. What a ball! What a finish by EMC. It's funny because it was like Sox needed a good performance, and then EMC kind of slowly was starting to need one too. So that finish by him was world class. I mean, half volley, misdirect. Like the ball was coming from a different direction. He has to get his balance right, get the timing right. That was a class finish. But that's off topic. Wolfie. I'm gonna talk about Wolfie. I think it shows that he's not playing a lot of football. More in the second half than the first half. I already said like the defensive battle was just uphill today because KKH and Bidwell were getting beat, tons of through balls. And in the first half, sometimes in the second half too, Wolfie had some, goal saving stops. He cut off O'Brien on a one-on-one. He did really well there. But the second and the third goal, probably the headed goal by Moore, the second goal, just literally separated from him by 6 to 12 inches too much, allowing that cross by Windass just to peek over his head. I think that might be something that, if you are playing more football, you might clock onto that a little bit easier. And then the third goal, he thought it was offsides. I think the first pass was offsides, but there's no VAR. The last football he played was in the Prem. Is he still thinking about that? I don't know. But that was unfortunate. They missed that call. But nevertheless, the goal was coming. So it is what it is. Wolfie is going to be interesting just going forward because it's unless we're playing a five back, he isn't going to be preferred. So it's going to be Bobby's spot until he loses it or he gets injured. Bobby has been, battering players all season, putting his body on the line. I still think Kitching has been better than Bobby this year, but they've both been class. So he'll definitely slot back in. Looking forward to Tuesday, though. I do like that it is a quick turnaround, just so it doesn't dwell on them. It's the first time that they're experiencing like a seriously important loss in almost it's about 5.5 months. So that's a very, very long time. The enemy is performing. Hopefully, well, you're definitely going to get Milan back in. You're probably going to get the Silva back in because we just lacked all attacking ability down that left side unless it was just EMC taking on a defender. Maybe you get Bobby back in. Maybe you get Torp back in. But I really think it's going to come down to those wing backs. I think the wing backs are just so important. And I don't know if Frank got it right today, but that's not me saying that, he did a bad job because he changed the tactics against Pompey and they worked to an absolute T. And everything he's touched has turned to gold this season. So you're not always going to get it right. But the important thing is that you can not let it knock you down and tear you down and make you go on these stretches because we saw it last season. Sheffield United were on pace with Burnley and Leeds for that auto promotion. They had one bad 3-match game week, and then all of a sudden they're in the playoffs. They make it to Wembley. They make it to the final. They lose to Sunderland. Sunderland are now in a European spot for next year, and Sheffield United are currently on pace to go to League One. Obviously, we don't think they're going to end there. But it's just like those fine little margins can make or break the season. And the earlier, the better for you to rack up points. So I think they'll bounce back. I think it'll be okay. No one's turning on each other. No one's turning on the manager. Everyone is super tight knit. And the best part is it's going to go like that. What is it? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 3 days of training. The last day will be light, and then they have a game. And some of them can listen to a nice little performance before that'll hype up the crowd. That'll get everyone going. So it's going to be okay. It really is. It's genuinely going to be fine. Don't be worried. I'm not worried. The only way I'll be worried is if Brandon Thomas Asante quits the team, and then, yeah, that's the only way I'll be worried. But that isn't happening. So thank you guys. Please subscribe if you are new here. If you're not subscribed, if you're not new here and you're not subscribed, just check for me. Please help me grow the channel. Like, comment. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you worried? Are you not worried? That's going to be all. Peace.